How's it going, guys? So welcome back to another video. Alright, so today I just want to update a little bit about my process of building my 3S GTE. So far it's pretty good. Everything goes pretty smooth. I have a few difficulty here and there, but I managed to get those fixed. Alright, so with that said, let me just show you what I did so far. Alright, so this is actually my 4th gen 3S GTE. Right now I have the motor upside down because I am actually trying to get a new oil pan gasket seal on it. I'm just waiting for my oil pan to dry out because at the bottom it has some scrape where metal is showing and there are some rust, so I sent those down and repaint them. I'm just waiting for that to get dry. Once the paint is dry, I'm gonna go ahead and reapply some new Toyota seal on it. So it is said that the Toyota oil pan gasket seal or the gasket maker, they're supposed to dry pretty quick, maybe about 15 minutes, and once after 15 minutes you can actually start putting oil in. But I'm not gonna do that yet until I put everything back together. There is one problem that I ran into. Well, my engine is upside down, but on the oil, not the oil pump, but the water pumps, there is actually a Phillips screw that goes right here. I don't know why, but they have one Phillips screw that goes right here, and I had a feeling that I was gonna strip it, but I carefully tried to remove it, but then unfortunately I ended up stripping that, so I had to drill this out and use a screw extractor to try to lose that up, and which is I did. So I went to Ace Hardware and got a new Phillips screw for that. I was pretty concerned at first, but then luckily I have that screw extractor. And the other thing I'm waiting on is the back housing of the water pump. There's actually a O-ring gasket that goes around here. When I bought the kit, I thought that it came with it, but it didn't. So now I'm just waiting for that gasket to come in. It should be here within a week. So I can't really put everything back together yet until I receive that O-ring gasket. And once that come in, I can finally put everything back together, put my timing belt back on, and I finished with my oil pumps, changed the gasket seal and all that. And yeah, pretty much it on this side. I'm just waiting for that gasket to come in and I can start putting it back together. I did a lot of things off camera, like these chem seal right here. These are new. They were, showing signs of leaks a little bit. So, best to get that changed. It came with the timing belt kit, so which is pretty good. And what else here? Shaft seal. This one right here, I got that changed too. This is the new one. I pulled out the old one using a flathead screwdriver, and I got that out. So pretty much this side is done. I'm just waiting for the O-ring, then I could put the water pump back on, and then put all the pulley back on, and put the timing belt back on, and yeah, and it's good to go on this side. For this side, the block here is pretty rusted, so I sand it down as much as I can, and I paint it black. So it looks so much better. On the other side, I didn't because it's still black, but mind the rust here and there, like these small angle here, which I'm fine with that. I'm not too bothered with it. So I might leave this as it is. If not, I might paint it as well. But I'm just gonna leave this for now and see how it goes. Take my manifold side, I sand it down, make sure that it's all nice and smooth. There's no residue, stuff like that sitting on that. So, and same with the exhaust manifold, I sand it down as well, make sure it's nice and smooth as much as I can. These are some marks that I was unable to sand off, however it's pretty smooth already, so I'm good with that. I did order some new bolts for it because they didn't break. When you try to lose it, it's just so rusted that the nut wouldn't come out, but the whole stud came out instead. So I just thought that I'd get those changed. These are still good. The nut did come out. It have signs of rust, but they're doable. I'm trying to save as much money as I can. I don't want to spend too much money on it, on stuff that if I can reuse, I will reuse them. But the gasket are different though. I want to change all of the gaskets. Anything that came off that have a gasket, I do want to change them. I have all the gasket. There are a few gaskets that I don't have, which it's coming in with that water pump O-ring gasket. This is the turbo This is the I believe this is the oil feed line that goes into the oil pan. It is pretty rusted, so I will take that out and sand it down, maybe paint it, maybe gloss black or something, And the turbo is good. There is no sharp play or anything like that. It's pretty stiff. Residual oil here that came off from the valve cover. The valve cover on this 4th Gen 3 SGT here, it does have oil leaks, minor oil leaks on the valve cover. That's which is facing toward the turbo. That's why turbo have those residue oil that's sitting on top of that. And this is the intake manifold. I have this clean out. It was pretty dirty at the bottom, but I had those clean and brush it down with wire brush. And I was thinking about maybe repainting it, so the aluminum color would, shown out more. Right now it's just kind of dull, so I might want to, paint it. But I will wait till later to get that done. Alright guys, so I believe the last thing that I am waiting on is the blow-off valve. I ordered that. It's coming from the East Coast, and it was supposed to be here on the 14th of this month. But then it turned out that there are a huge delay with USPS. So right now I have not received it. It is still on its way, but then it's just really slow at the moment. So I don't know when it's going to be here, but hopefully it gets here. So I just hope the blow-off valve gets here on time before I put this motor in, because I already sent out the harnesses to Wire Gap on the East Coast. So they should receive it maybe in a day or two. And it might take them about like 2 weeks to finish that and send it back to me. So hopefully everything, gets here on time so I could finally put this motor in. For myself, I didn't do too much besides just cleaning the engine bay here and there, trying to, get most of the residue from the power steering fluid that's sitting underneath that side. I will need a new power steering pump because it is leaking. So I may use the one from my 3S GTE. If not, I'll have to buy a new one. I did repaint this side of the frame, same one here, because it was show sign of rust, So I sent those rust down and then, repaint it just to prevent more rust. Not too much, not too fancy here and there, because, to be able to paint the whole engine bay, I have to remove all these, AC line, brake line, all that. And I just don't want to, go through all that trouble. So I'm good with this. Alright guys, so with that said, let's move on to my 5SFE. I left all the hoses here, so once I decide to use them, I can use them. I don't want to take them off because I might forget where they're going. So there are a few hoses that aren't good anymore, but there are still a lot that are very useful. Again, they're they look very similar. It could be a straight swap out with the 3S GTE. And I haven't had time to take off my transmission yet. I'm gonna leave here for now because, as you can see, I hardly had any space in my garage. So I want to wait out until I put everything back together on my 3S GTE, and I can finally come here and take out this transmission and all the stuff that I needed to put it back on my 3S. And then once that is completed, I can finally put this engine in. How's it going, guys? So welcome back. So my O-ring gasket there right here yesterday, and I started to put my timing belt and my pulleys, all that all together. And I also resprayed some of my parts aluminum paint, so the part will actually look nicer when putting the engine back on. Alright, so I resprayed my intake manifold with this aluminum paint. It looks so much better. I also have these new poly bushing here for my engine mount, and of course I sprayed some of these bracket black too because they were like really rusted out. And I resprayed this oil feed line here aluminum color as well because it was rusted. I repainted this thermostat here, the housing here as well, and I installed my timing belt and these pulleys back in yesterday night. So before I put this top cover back on, I want to take off my valve cover here and sand it down and maybe spray it like a red color, maybe more like a hot red or maybe like a darker red, to match the car. I also switch out these exhaust manifold stud here. This one, that one, and this one. These are really rusted out, so when you try to take it off, the whole thing just came off. The nut doesn't come off, so I ordered some new stud. This one here, the tip here broke off. This stud right here, when I was trying to torque it in, this tip broke off. I guess it wasn't meant for torquing, but more like, you know, loosen up the stud. So that was my mistake. I broke that off, but it is on there. But if I ever plan to take this off, I will have to use some sort of tool to like clamp it on real tight and try and twist it, because I only torque it to like 38 pounds. So it shouldn't be that hard if you have the right tool to try to get that out. So as for my oil pan, I used the Toyota gasket maker. So this set up pretty good. I also switched the oil filter out to a Toyota filter. My next step is probably I'm gonna install that exhaust manifold back on, because this side here is pretty much done. I already installed or replaced the hose on the hill, and this hose down here too. The only thing that I don't like about this exhaust manifold with the turbo is that it's actually one piece, so you can't take the turbo off from the exhaust manifold. So I will have to change it to a new one in the future. I've been watching a few videos, and if you get the 3rd gen exhaust manifold, then you can actually get like a different turbo for it, and it is 2-piece for the 3rd gen. I don't know why the 4th gen they had it in 1 piece. So if the turbo fails or something, then I will have to change it up. Alright guys, so I finished installing my header, turbo, and the downpipes. And I also put this bracket back here back on too, just to, you know, try to put everything back as much as possible. Try to reuse every part as much as I can. And this engine is finally start coming together. All right guys, so that's it for my update. If you guys have any, you know, any suggestion, any ideas, or anything at all, please comment it below, you know, so I'll know what to do with my motor while it's still out. All right, so that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. I'll catch you guys next time.